Story 1. Am I the a-hole for making fun of a white girl for being poor because she was being racist? I'm Asian, more specifically one of the only Chinese people in my grade, which has been absolutely fun these days. So the girl in question has been racially harassing me since the beginning of lockdown when she DM'd and said, "Did the bat taste good? Thanks a lot, you effing freak." I reported her to my school and they literally just dropped it because they said tensions were high and she couldn't be blamed because her uncle had corona, some BS like that. Then I got repeated messages like that from fake/newly created accounts that I suspect were from her, and I just kept blocking them until I guess she gave up because I wasn't reacting. My school district has chosen to do it in person. Massively dumb in my opinion, but whatever. On the literal second day of school, she walks up to me while I'm in the lunch line and says in a thick Asian accent, "Are you eating bat dumpling or dog noodles?" Other people around me effing laughed, and I'm sure I don't have to explain this, but I felt effing humiliated. It finally felt like I got her off my back for a little while, and she comes back as soon as school starts, and I already know my school administration isn't going to go to bat for me. I don't know a lot about this girl since obviously I try to avoid her, but I did know that she had crappy teeth, lived in a trailer, and was very poor. I'm ashamed to have stooped to this, but I just wanted to show her how I felt for once, so I said, "I'd be less concerned with what I'm eating if I were you and more worried about your diet since you're the one who needs to figure out how to brush her teeth in a trailer with no running water. Stop trying to get sent to a hospital when you can't afford health care." Other students nearby told me I went too far because it wasn't her fault she was poor. Like it was my fault I was Asian? She literally effing cried like I didn't cry every time she called me an effing C. I think she left me alone ever since though, which doesn't matter since I plan on transferring anyway. This is a tough one, and obviously I am not an authority on this whatsoever. I'm a middle-aged white guy, so I don't get to say definite things about racism. Other than that, it's bad and a really crappy thing to be taking part in, even as a joke like this girl was. It's not a good joke, it's just racism. As far as if it's okay to do the back and forth, I feel conflicted because on one hand, sometimes people like this need to get a taste of their own medicine maybe, but I don't know, some therapies would say, no, this person needs help. But is it on you to get that person this help that they're not seeking? They are still accountable for their actions and the hurt that they are doing to you. Just because that this is probably stemming from her home life and struggles at home and traumas and stuff like that, it doesn't mean she's suddenly not accountable for the crap that she's doing to you and the trauma that she is inflicting upon you. And so I don't know that something like this is necessarily going to start the healing at all. Usually these things just have a tendency to escalate, and so I don't think it's necessarily the best course of action, but I also can't blame you for wanting to lash out after all this time when the school wasn't willing to help before. So I don't know what the answer to this is, and I leave it up to the comments to make their decisions, but just don't be racist. Come on, folks. Story 2. How my entitled aunt and cousin ruined my 10th birthday. My aunt, Dad's sister, has always been the textbook entitled B. When I was a kid, she never missed an opportunity to make me feel like garbage. From thinly veiled insults to outright verbal and emotional abuse, she threw what she could at me in an attempt to break me. Of course, the disgust she felt for me and the faults she found in my dad's parenting never stopped her from mooching stuff off him or asking him for favors without ever giving anything in return. She and her husband considered their son to be a gift from the heavens, and he too grew up to be a narcissistic bully who loved to torment me even though I was 7 years younger than him. My mom passed when I was 1 year old, and both my grandmother and I had been abusive to her as well, but that's another tale for another time. This is about the time she, along with her son, ruined my 10th birthday. This incident resulted in me being put off of birthdays and deciding to never celebrate them again. I just couldn't see them as a cause for celebration. My entire extended family, which included the said aunt, uncle, and cousin, along with some other relatives, were at our home, and my dad and stepmom had gone out to run some errands. My cousin had invited some of his friends over, even though my dad and stepmom didn't know them. My dad allowed them to come after my aunt whined incessantly about how her son would be bored if his friends were not there. I remember sitting in my room and playing with my dog. I knew my cousin would be down there, and I usually did what I could to avoid him. At that time, I suffered from a pretty bad stutter, and when I was upset or angry, it only got worse. This is something my cousin loved to make fun of, and of course, my birthday would be no different. He demanded that I come downstairs to talk to his friends. When I refused, his mother told me to stop being rude and do as I was told. I was a powerless kid, so I really had no other choice. I went down to the living room, and my cousin introduced me to his buddies in his usual condescending way as the birthday girl. He handed me a novel and told me to read out loud. I tried to read properly, but failed. I was surrounded with judgmental stares, and it made me nervous. I stuttered, which is exactly what my cousin was hoping for. He and his friends began to snicker. I got angry and stopped reading. Cousin called me a freak. His friends looked at me as though I was on display at a zoo exhibit. I wanted to prove them wrong, that I wasn't a freak, that I could read. I tried reading again. This time, on account of me being angry, the stutter was much worse. My cousin decided to mock my stutter, and all but one of his friends roared with laughter. The one that didn't actually noticed my tears and told the others to knock it off. He asked if I was okay. My cousin told him not to bother, it's just a joke, and that I was just an oversensitive baby. My rage was boiling over, and I threw the book at my cousin's face and stomped out. My aunt had seen what had happened and decided to pull me by the hair and drag me back to the living room. She told me to apologize to my cousin. I refused. She told me I needed to be taught a lesson for being a brat. I tried to tell her what had happened. She chuckled and said, "So what? He's your cousin and she's older than you. You need to respect him. Now apologize." I refused again, this time with a no. I hate you. I hate all of you. All the while crying and shaking with anger. That didn't sit well with my aunt, and she slapped me before asking why I didn't just die in the womb. She told me I was a troublemaker, just like my mother had been. That she knew the day I was born that there was something wrong with me, that an evil bee like my mother couldn't possibly produce a normal kid. This was it. I balled up my fist and connected it to my aunt's face. I punched that bee so hard I busted her lip. By now, all the other relatives had heard the commotion and had gathered in the living room. The moment my first fist connected with my aunt is when my dad and stepmom walked in through the front door. The aunt started crying, she berated my father for not raising me right, and went on and on about how I was a violent, ill-mannered brat, etc., etc., etc. The other relatives, too, expressed their disappointment in me. My dad asked me what the hell I thought I was doing. I tried to tell him what my cousin had done and what my aunt had said about my mother. Unfortunately, my stuttering reared its ugly head again, and all that came out of my mouth was gibberish. My tears were flowing again. In the meantime, my cousin had decided to take all his friends and bail. I was punished for my beastly conduct. My birthday celebration was canceled. My dad called my friends and asked them not to come over. I didn't cut any cake. The presents I was to receive from my parents were stocked away. I was banished to my room and stayed there for the rest of the day. I ate lunch and dinner alone. The next morning, no one spoke to me. I was given my breakfast platter, which I ate in my room. That afternoon, my cousin's friend, the one who had told them to stop bullying me, came over. He told my dad what my cousin had done and what my aunt had said. My dad sat me down and apologized to me, but added that it was still wrong of me to punch my aunt. I just sat there silently. I was emotionally numb. My dad kept telling me he loved me and that he was sorry. I just coldly stared at him. My stepmom suggested a belated birthday celebration. I refused. I told them I didn't want a birthday party and that I wouldn't celebrate my birthday ever again. I kept my word. Every year since that day, my parents would ask what I wanted for my birthday, and I always replied, nothing at all. I would ask them not to get any cake and not to invite any guests. The day I was born now meant nothing to me. Even now, after all these years, I don't celebrate my birthday. Instead, I celebrate the day I landed the job that enabled me to move away from my family and start a new life. I consider it the day of my rebirth. It was the day I was able to leave all the pain and anger behind and could plan for a life that I would live on my own terms. My aunt and uncle's crappy parenting ended up costing them dearly. If you want to know what became of them, do let me know in the comments. It's pretty satisfying. Okay, first off, I absolutely want to know what happened to them. Please, for the love, find this story. Bring it to me. Second, obviously this aunt and cousin sound like truly miserable, awful people. Just awful. And second, dad, bad going. If your child has struck someone like that or whatever, and is like in tears sobbing and can't get their words out and stuff like that, assume that there's a reason for it, that there's something, and wait until they can calm down and get the story from them and believe them. Because dad, your sister sounds like a piece of crap. And frankly, like the second day after the dad heard the story, I was like, oh, I'm really sorry, but you still shouldn't have done that. I am not a parent. I don't have kids, but I have a deep, deep love for my nieces and nephews. I have, love for my pets and stuff like that. And if that's even a fraction of what I would feel if I found this out about one of them, I don't know how I would find it out for my dogs. Just trust me. You would have to talk me down from going over and giving my own sister a second knuckle sandwich. The things that she said to that daughter were clearly so traumatizing that she never wanted to celebrate her birthday again. That is unbelievable. That is abuse. That is just full-blown abuse, and it's disgusting. And I would be infuriated as a parent. But I give so many props to the person who posted this that they were able to still, move on, find something new to celebrate, a job, and get away from a family that was not good for them. Good for you. And I hope you're doing great. And I hope anyone else who's had to deal with crappy family, I hope you can find that little bastion to celebrate in your own life and realize that eventually you can leave those crapheads behind. Story 3. My girlfriend got an illegal Airbnb ring in her apartment complex busted. We live in a new and small apartment complex, only 40 units within 2 buildings. It's very low-key and within walking distance to our downtown. It's very affordable for how convenient a location it is. Back in September, we noticed the vacant unit beside us was getting moved into by a new tenant with furniture, decor, etc. One weekend not long after moving in, we heard what sounded like a little party with music and loud voices well past midnight. We heard a lot of people coming in and out of the front door, but letting the door slam each time to where it shook the walls. Maybe they were having a housewarming party or a friend's get-together at the new place, so we brushed it under the rug as a one-off incident. For the next few weeks, we noticed a variety of people coming in and out of this apartment, and none of them seemed to be the same individuals. Parking also started to become much busier than usual as well, as the cars kept changing, so something seemed off. My girlfriend started working the night shift for her job not long after the neighboring apartment became occupied. She's a light sleeper and noticed that all throughout the morning and before going to work, the neighbor's door was always slamming and shaking the walls. She understands that people are active in the day and she can't ask people to cater to her night shift needs, but she felt the constant slamming of doors was not only disruptive, but unusual behavior. One particular morning was the straw that broke the camel's back. She had finally had enough because of the effect it was having on her sleep. She wanted to see who was slamming the door. She heard the door slamming around 10:30 a.m. and got up and witnessed people walking to their car with suitcases and leaving. Soon after, a man arrived and pulled up to the front doormat and retrieved a key and let 2 women with cleaning supplies into the apartment. Each time they entered or left, the door would slam and shake the wall. Seeing this, she searched Airbnb and almost immediately found the rental unit next door. Same floor plans, wall painting, flooring, etc. To our surprise and anger, we found a total of 4 listings in our apartment complex alone on the host's profile. This is 10% of the apartments in our buildings. Through the listings, we found the individual's LinkedIn and business website. On his website, he claims that he does something called retail arbitrage. Essentially, this is renting out a long-term rental on short-term basis, lease an apartment, and rent it on Airbnb for profit. This can be done legally with the landlord's permission. The lease agreement does not allow for subletting or short-term rentals. They were renting out 3 of the 4 ground-end units offered, units with unique floor plans. The 4th unit was a handicap-accessible unit. That's right, this man and his business partner leased an apartment meant for accommodating people with disabilities with the intention of using it for his little short-term business empire he was trying to build. Our city and region, like in other places, has been feeling the squeeze on apartment availability, and these D-heads are contributing to the problem. It was at this point we took this personally, as we had our own problems dealing with apartment availability, wait lists, disappointment, and frustration. My girlfriend called the leasing office and notified them that the neighboring unit is being rented out on Airbnb and asked if that was allowed, to which the office gave an emphatic absolutely not, and asked for the listing to be sent to them in an email. Later that day, the office called back and said they notified the tenant and that they'll be inspecting the apartments the following afternoon. After the inspection was completed, the office notified that they had sent a cease and desist document to any rental activities outside the lease agreement or face eviction. They also informed us that you should not have any more problems concerning the matter, and if you do, don't hesitate to give us a call. Now this a-hole has 4 leases he's stuck paying $1,500 a month for and can't make any more money on through Airbnb. He's bleeding money at the tune of about $6,000 a month. His only legal options are to continue paying for them or break the leases and vacate. Last week, we watched as movers emptied out the apartments. I'm sure they lost deposits and were penalized for breaking the leases. A very expensive lesson for being a greedy entrepreneur. Don't be D-heads, folks. Also, don't pee off a night shifter trying to sleep. Oh, Airbnb. It was such a nice little idea. You have a house that you're going to be away from for a while? Well, why not rent it out to some nice folks and make a little bit of cash while you're on vacation? But of course, as anything that you could make a little money and turn into a side hustle, everyone tried to turn it into a side hustle and ruined it. Now Airbnb is awful. It's the worst thing. It is a plague upon this nation. I hate Airbnb so much. Remember when Airbnb used to be the cheaper option? And it's like, oh, who needs a hotel when I can have an Airbnb that's closer to where I want to go and it's less money and I get a kitchen and all this? And now they're like way more expensive and have weird rules and all this other kind of crap. Like Airbnbs, 95% of them suck so bad. And for the few of you out there who like do it the way it's intended, or well, the way at least it should be intended and are good about stuff, good on you, but wowie zowie are you ever diamonds in the rough. Story 4. My sister-in-law tried to hijack my son's birthday for her gender reveal party. My husband and I have 2 children, both boys, now aged 11 and 14. My husband's younger sister now has 3 children, age 7 female, 5 male, and 3 male. The year my youngest son, let's shorten to YS for the story, was turning 4, he asked for a birthday party. He was not yet in school, and so he did not know anyone but family, and there were no children other than his brother that were able to attend. Luckily, his favorite people in the world are Grandpa and Gma, Dad's parents. Gma's like a big kid. She's super fun and energetic. She acts much like a kid herself, and my boys adore her. I knew they were very busy, so I asked them several months in advance if they could attend his birthday party. The party was to be on his birthday. This is important. Being the wonderful grandparents they are, they agreed and requested that time off from their jobs. We also invited all close-by family, including my sister-in-law, the entitled mother of the story. Months go by, and it's now about a week and a half before my son's big day. I bought the decorations, planned the menu, and pumped him up. I like to sing a final countdown song as I prepare breakfast in the morning. One afternoon, I receive a call from my sister-in-law who's about to find out the sex of her baby. She's pregnant with baby number 1. She wants to plan a gender reveal party, but she's called her friends and family and discovered that most work and can't attend without several weeks' notice for their jobs. The only day everyone just so happens to have off is my son's birthday. Would I be willing to move my son's birthday party to another day so she can have her party? At this point, it may bear mentioning that she already has 3 baby showers planned and has asked me to make the food out of pocket for one of the showers. Most people being asked to attend her gender reveal party were already attending multiple baby showers for her. I'm pretty friendly and passive. This caught me very off guard. I tried to gently tell her that my son was looking forward to this and we've had it planned for months, which is why everyone had it off from work. She feigned sympathy, but still urged me to please move my son's birthday party to a time that everyone could later attend and let her have this open date for her party for her first baby while you've already had 2. Besides, YS loves babies and would want to go to her party too. He could still come to my party and see everyone he loves and then get to do it all over again when everyone can request time off. I didn't have time to gather a response as she steamrolled over me saying, okay, if they want to go, I won't make them come to young son's party, but I can't go to your party. We have plans. And her responding, thanks, I was angry. She had pulled this kind of thing with other people before. I have tons of stories. But she always really loved my boys and never tried this with me, or not to this extreme anyway. I didn't know how to react other than vent to my husband, her brother, who wasn't surprised at all and said not to worry and that their dad would set her straight. Funny enough, I was talking to my husband when I saw him, father-in-law, calling my phone. I answered and he said that my sister-in-law had told him I had no problem with her hijacking my son's birthday and I had insisted she have the party and everyone go to that one instead of young son's. He said if this was true that he would attend her party, but he would way rather go to the party of younger son. He'd already gotten presents and they were excited about celebrating a kid that's already here on his big day. I very happily told him that I was never going to cancel his birthday or make him sit through someone else's party on his big day. I mean, he's 4 and I've been counting down for him every morning. What kind of monster would I be? I said that I had told sister-in-law that people could go to that if they preferred, but that we wouldn't be attending. He said that sounds about right and told her he's going to younger son's party since he requested time off for that, and if she wants another party another day to give him notice. She canceled or never organized the party, and then talked about me behind my back to anyone that would listen for years to follow. I mean, your sister-in-law sounds just lovely. What a person that I would want to deal with. But also, I wouldn't care if there wasn't already another birthday party for a kid who was here. I would never attend this person's gender reveal party. I will never attend any gender reveal party because they are mostly pretty bad. They're ridiculous. Stop doing it, people. I've seen all your little videos online, here on YouTube and on TikTok and all that, and they're bad and dumb. And just stop. I don't think anyone cares but you, and it's great that you care. I'm very happy for you. And if you want to have a little celebration thing with a couple close people, that's great. Stop making big parties, and especially don't make big parties that try to hijack a little kid's birthday. Because that suddenly makes me look at you and go, they're the kind of people who do gender reveal parties. Whatever. And it makes me suddenly go, oh wow, they're bad people. What bad, selfish, entitled people. Gross. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.